Yesterday, Sayadaw was explaining on jhana samadhi and Vipassana samadhi. And Sayadaw was comparing samatha jhana with Vipassana jhana. Sayadaw was starting to explain on Vipassana jhana when the hour was up. So today, Sayadaw will continue to explain on Vipassana jhana in practical way. So today, Sayadaw will continue to talk on Vipassana jhana. So Sayadaw will explain the terminology concerning with jhana. Jhana means observing, concentrating closely on the object. And jhananga means factors involved in observing, concentrating closely on the object. And jhana sampayutta citta is the consciousness that is associating with jhana. So here, jhana means observing closely, concentrating closely on the object. And this jhana is composed of 5 or 6 factors of jhana. So these 5 or 6 factors are: number 1, Vitakka, aiming or directing the mind towards the object. And the second one is Vicara. So people translate Vicara as reflection, but actually it's a kind of reflection that is free from doubt and uncertainty. And the third one is Piti, joy. And the fourth one is Sukha, happiness or gladness or comfort. And the fifth one is Upekkha, equanimity, where the mind is in the state of balance. And the sixth one is Ekaggata, one-pointedness of the mind or collectedness of the mind. So among these 6 factors, the fourth one and the fifth one, Sukha and Upekkha, they are feeling. Where Sukha is the good feeling, where Upekkha is the calm feeling. So it is what is different between these two, Sukha and Upekkha. But if one takes the factors 4 and 5 as just feeling as one factor, then there can be 5 factors of jhana. And the consciousness that is associating with the jhana factors, the consciousness that is associating with these group of 5 of these factors of jhana is called jhana sampayutta citta. Among the factors of jhana, the meaning of Vitakka, in Burmese it is translated as thinking, reflecting, planning in the mind. So, thinking, imagining, planning in the mind, it is explained in Burmese about the definition of Vitakka. Another way, it is a kind of inference in the mind. So when somebody is about to do a work, a kind of work, one has an aim. So this aim is called Vitakka. And in the example, if someone is going to shoot a gun, one needs to aim towards the target. So one needs to aim and direct so that the target will be hit. So if the person becomes skillful in shooting, then one can just hit the target, shoot the target without having to aim especially. So this aiming is called Vitakka. And one should direct the mind towards the object so that the note mind will be face to face or direct with the object. It is just like aiming towards the object. So one should direct so that it will get to the target. So in the same way, one should aim and direct towards the object so that the noting mind will get to the object of meditation. So among these meanings, the meaning of Vitakka, which will be most appropriate here, is aiming and directing. So Vicara means reflection. It is not just a simple reflection, but this Vicara, reflection, is being free from uncertainty. So when there is rising and falling of the abdomen, which is the object of meditation, then one should note with aiming and effort. Actually, rising is stiffness, tension, movement. So when noting the rising and falling, which is arising at the presently moment, one should aim the mind towards the object, and one should put effort so that the noting mind will fall onto the object. So just as when one is shooting a gun, one should aim towards the target. So it is not like aiming for the target, taking a very long time to aim to the target. But when noting the object of meditation, one should aim the mind towards the object. One should concentrate and aim the mind towards the object. So in Pali, it is mentioned as upanijjhana. Upa means very close. So one should aim the mind towards the object so that the mind will be very close to the object of meditation. So the noting mind should be completely close with the object of meditation. And jhana means concentrating, observing. Whenever the newly arising object arises, then the yogi should observe and note the object of meditation, and the noting mind should be very close to the object. And this Vitakka, aiming, is one of the jhana factors. So one should aim the mind towards the object so that the noting mind will be face to face or direct with the object. So the yogi should practice again and again so that she will be skilled with aiming the mind towards the object. And also, yogi should put effort so that the noting mind will fall on the object of meditation. So this viriya, effort in this way, which is called atapa, ardent effort, is necessary in order to note the object. Because this effort supports the samadhi, which is also called ekaggata, concentration. So viriya, effort, supports concentration. So one should put ardent effort so that the noting mind will reach the object of meditation. So yogi should apply these two factors, aiming, directing the mind towards the object so that the noting mind will become face to face or direct with the object. And yogi should put effort so that the noting mind will fall onto the object of meditation. By noting with aiming and effort, the noting mind will reach the object, and then the noting mind will as if rub onto the object. When the noting mind rubs onto the object, there will not be uncertainty, but it will be certain about the object. So in order that the noting mind should rub onto the object, yogi should be asserting aiming and effort all the time, so that the yogi is mindful of whatever object that arises, such as rising and falling of the abdomen. Being able to note with aiming and effort, the noting mind will rub onto the object and the noting will be effective. So these factors, each and every of these factors have their own qualities. When the noting mind is aimed towards the object, there will be vitakka, and because this aiming is present, there will be no way for mithya vitakka, wrongful thoughts, to arise. So when aiming is present, there will be samma vitakka, right application, and at that moment, these mithya vitakka, wrongful thoughts, has no chance to arise. And by putting effort, the kilesa defilements are blocked. So having effort present, the path to kilesa defilements will be blocked, and the path to kusala, the path to wholesomeness, will be open. And when the mind is rubbing against the object, there will not be uncertainty, but the person will be certain about the object. There will not be uncertainty. So when the noting mind falls on the movement of the rising and falling, yogi will come to know as movement. So she will not be uncertain about the object. So in order to know the object in a certain way, to be certain of the object, one needs to note with aiming and effort, so that the noting mind will rub against the object, and thus, when the noting mind rubs against the object, there will not be uncertainty. So, when the noting mind is rubbing against the object, this uncertainty has no chance to arise. So when the noting mind falls on the tension, then the yogi will know it as tension. When the noting mind falls on the stiffness, the yogi will know it as stiffness. So there will not be any uncertainty, but the yogi will be very sure about the object, knowing stiffness, tension, and so on. So in this way, Vitakka, aiming, makes the mind blossom, open and fresh and active. So having Vitakka, aiming, present, then one can overcome Tinamita, sloth and torpor, which makes the mind contracted. So having Vitakka present, the mind will be open, blossom, fresh and active, so that the Tinamita, sloth and torpor, which contracts the mind, has no chance to arise. Having viriya, effort present, one can overcome kosaja, laziness. So this viriya, effort, is the overwhelming force of sloth and torpor. So having Vitakka present, Vitakka is the opposing force in order to drive out laziness. The laziness, not wanting to put effort in the practice, is driven out by Vitakka, which is the opposing force. So this viriya is the overwhelming force to overcome laziness. When this viriya is present, the mind will not be sluggish or lazy. So this laziness, sloth and torpor will be overwhelmed by effort. So in this way, Tinamita will be overcome by these forces, Vitakka, which is the opposing force, and viriya, effort, the overwhelming force. So when the noting mind rubs onto the object, there will not be uncertainty, so the person will be overcoming vicikicca, skeptical doubt. And when there is Vicara present, when Vicara, rubbing the mind against the object, this vicikicca, skeptical doubt, will be overcome. So in this way, these mental factors can overcome the defilements. Vitakka can overcome Tinamita. So having Vitakka present, one can repel Tinamita, sloth and torpor. Having viriya present, one can overcome, one can gain upper hand of kosaja, laziness. And when Vicara is present, there will not be any uncertainty. The kind of uncertainty which is given an example as putting ladder in the air. So if one tries to set up a ladder in the air, it doesn't work. So uncertainty, which is compared to setting up a ladder in the air, this uncertainty will be overcome when Vicara is present. Because Vicara, rubbing the mind onto the object so that the person will be certain about the object, so this uncertainty will be overcome. So just now Sayadaw explained about the two jhana factors. So by applying these two jhana factors together with viriya, effort, as the yogi becomes skilled in the practice, the noting mind will be direct with the object, and the noting mind will rub onto the object, and the noting will be effective. So when this happens, the mind will not be sluggish or lazy, but there will be effort. And in Satipatthana way, This effort is called Atapa. Atapa means ardent effort. When we say ardent, it means that this effort is not in a cold manner, but it is ardent effort, being fresh, alert, active, and ready. So the noting mind should be propelled to the object by putting effort. So using this ardent effort, the noting mind should be pushed towards the object. And there should not be any regard for one's body and life, but one should only aim to attain the Dhamma. So one should practice in a very brave way. So one should be very brave and courageous in the practice, not having any regard to one's own body and life. So having this bravery and courage, one will be able to assert effort. So having effort, asserting effort, sati, mindfulness will also follow. So when the yogi puts effort to note the object, then sati, mindfulness, will stick onto the object. And this sati, mindfulness, is not ordinary, but it is a very good quality sati. Mindfulness will stick onto the object, and this mindfulness will arise continuously, just like a stream of current. So in this way, by putting effort, sati, mindfulness, will arise continuously. So the mindfulness seems as if sinking into the object of meditation. Just like when you throw a stone into the water, the stone will sink into the water. In the same way, the mindfulness will sink onto the object in momentum. So the stronger the viriya is, the more sati, mindfulness, will arise in momentum. So there is no being slow or sluggish, but one will be active to note the object continuously. And also, sati is very widespread, and this sati, mindfulness, covers the whole of the object. The whole object will be covered with sati, mindfulness. However, the object may be wide, but when you pinpoint on the object of meditation, this sati, mindfulness, will cover and spread the whole object. When sati, mindfulness, covers or note the bodily movements, there will be kaya-nupassana, contemplation of the body. And when the mindfulness is on the feeling, vedana, then there will be vedana-nupassana, contemplation on the feeling. And when the mindfulness is on the thinking, imagining, and so on, there will be citta-nupassana, contemplation on the mind. And when the yogi is noting on daily activities, general activities, and so on, there will be Dhamma-nupassana. So wherever the mindfulness falls on the object, the noting mind will be calm and collected, and thus the mind will not run elsewhere. So in this way, Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration, is developed. So by this way, by noting continuously on the presently arising object with aiming and effort, sati, mindfulness, will follow, and also Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration, will develop. When the noting mind falls calm and collected on the object, then the yogi will come to understand the true nature. When the noting mind falls calm and collected on stiffness, then the yogi will come to know stiffness. When the noting mind falls on tension, yogi will come to know the tension. When the noting mind falls on the movement, the yogi will come to know the movement. By this way, knowledge about the true nature of stiffness, tension, movement will develop. So in this way, knowledge will also be developed. So by noting the presently arising object with aiming and effort, there will be Vicara, rubbing of the noting mind onto the object so that the noting will be affected. So when these jhana factors of Vitakka and Vicara are present, then sati, mindfulness, will follow, Khanika Samadhi, concentration, will follow, and then also the knowledge, understanding the true nature of stiffness, tension, movement, and so on, will also be developed. So when the yogi is able to note with aiming and effort, the noting mind and the object becomes concurrent. So the noting mind and the object will become direct and concurrent, and when this happens, Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration, will develop. So when momentary concentration, Khanika Samadhi, develops, one will come to know distinctly the object and the noting mind. So the yogi sees distinctly the object is one thing and the noting mind is apart from the object. In this way, yogi comes to know distinctly between the object and the noting mind. And also, the yogi comes to understand cause and effect. And at this stage, there can be unpleasant sensations in the body. So when the Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration, is strong, yogi comes to see the object very clearly in a very vivid manner. So the example is given. An object that cannot be seen with the naked eye, if you take a look at the object with a spectacle or a magnifying glass or a microscope, you see the object in a microscopic way. You see the object magnified by 10 times, 20 times, 1,000 times, and so on. So at the stage of the practice, when the momentary concentration is strong, even small unpleasant sensations such as pain or ache will seem exaggerated, and the yogi will see this unpleasant sensation in a magnified way. The yogi who is afraid of pain will withdraw or will flinch back. And the yogi will be even afraid to do the sitting meditation. So the yogi does not like to do sitting meditation because she is afraid to encounter pain. On the other hand, when the yogi practices diligently, knowing cause and effect, relationship of cause and effect, and with the encouragement of the meditation teacher, and also with the effort that the yogi is asserting, when noting diligently, then the yogi will see the pain itself. When the yogi comes to see the pain itself, there is no such thing that the pain is in the leg or on the head, but the yogi sees the pain itself without the location. So when the yogi sees the pain itself, then yogi gains joy and satisfaction, and also yogi feels comfort in the practice. So Sharaji gives example. When a person is carrying a big burden, a very heavy burden, but as the person gets used to it, she doesn't feel the burden anymore. And when the person gets to take down the heavy burden, she feels very light. In the same way, when the yogi is able to note the unpleasant sensation, when the yogi is able to note the unpleasant sensation and gain the upper hand, then the yogi feels happy with the practice. And when the yogi can overcome the unpleasant sensations such as pains and ache, yogi likes to do sitting meditation. Before she used to be afraid to sit, but now the yogi likes to do sitting meditation. So before the yogi, what the yogi regards as enemy becomes a friend to the yogi. And at this stage, yogi feels joy and satisfaction, and also yogi develops Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration. And when she comes to the stage of understanding, arising and passing away of the object, the Vitakka, aiming, becomes very strong, and also Vicara, rubbing the mind onto the object, and the noting being very effective, and there will be piti, joy and rapture. So having piti, joy present, there will not be anger or vyavada, ill will, and the yogi will have comfort, and there will be sukha, happiness, and at this stage there will not be distraction, so distraction will also be overcome. And when the noting mind falls calm and collected on the object, the mind will not be agitated with raga or dosa, but the mind will be calm and collected, and the yogi feels satisfied. So by noting the object, when seeing the arising, the presence and the dissolution of the object, especially when the yogi gains Vipassana jnana, insight knowledge, and when the yogi can overcome the unpleasant sensations or pain, then the yogi and the pain become friends. So they are not enemies anymore. So being the pain as a friend, yogi gains piti, joy, happiness, and also yogi feels comfortable in the practice. And when the yogi comes to see the characteristics of impermanent, suffering and non-self, the Vipassana jnana, insight knowledge, will be developed. So at this stage, seeing the characteristics of impermanent, suffering and non-self, developing Vipassana jnana, the jhana factors, 5 of the jhana factors will be developed, and at this stage it is called Vipassana jhana, which is compared to the jhana having 5 factors of jhana. And Sayadaw will continue to explain next day.